Good afternoon, everybody. I see some familiar faces here. My name is Barbara Gressel. I work for, I think, the best department in the city. I mean, how many departments get to help small businesses and help consumers and help ensure a vibrant and fair marketplace for consumers and businesses alike? So I think I have the best job in the city. So I'm here today to talk to you about getting ready for income tax season. I don't know about you guys, but it's not really my favorite date of the year, right? So we're here to talk about a license type because income tax season will soon be here and a lot of us need help in getting ready for this. Before I begin, is anyone here licensed as an income tax service provider? Okay, a number of people. Well, thank you for being here. So just to let you know how great a department we are, we sent letters to over 700 businesses in Chicago, reminding them that income tax season is coming up, reminding them what their obligations are under the law, and that some laws changed last year, because we want to help all of you be better at what you do, and we want consumers to be protected during this tax season. So I know that on the table here, I don't usually print out my PowerPoints because I want people to pay attention to me and not read what's there. I want them all to look at me enraptured, But I thought some of the material is important enough that I want you to have it to be able to follow it and walk home with it. So while I was preparing for this, I did find out that there is free income tax preparation services available for some people through the city. So I wanted to include that information for any consumers that are here in the audience today. Qualified Chicago families and individuals can receive free tax prep, tax return preparation and e-filing. And there are two nonprofit partners, the Center for Economic Progress and Ladder Up, who train volunteers to provide these services. And if you go online at www.taxprepchicago.org, you can find out all that information and sign up for it. Okay, any questions about that? Alrighty. You can also file your own taxes for free, and I included that website. If you need help with your taxes, you may want to choose a CPA, an attorney, or an income tax preparer. The IRS maintains a directory of registered tax preparers and their credentials, and I included that website, and that's why I wanted you to have this handout so you could refer to it in the future. And finally, the city, my office, this great department of consumer services, business affairs and consumer services, does license tax preparers. A tax preparer is a person who, for a fee, provides tax preparation services, advice, or assistance in the preparation of people's income taxes. Now, a tax preparer is not an attorney or the attorney's employees. A tax preparer is not a CPA, certified public accountant, or the accountant's employees. A tax preparer is not an officer or an employee of a government agency that provides these services. And a tax preparer is not a representative that's appointed by the court. Chicago does license income tax preparers. It's unlawful, against the law, for any person to operate a tax prep business in Chicago without first having obtained the required license. When you got off the elevators, there was that big space in the clear doors. That's our business center, and you can go in there if you want to be a tax, to provide tax preparer services, and you can fill out the forms. Not so complex, not so complicated. It's $250 for a 2-year license. Each location at which a business operates requires a separate license. And you can check whether a business is licensed at that website. Just so you know, someone who doesn't obtain the required license but provides these services is subject to a fine of $200 to $1,000 for each offense. And just to let you know, every January, February, our department investigators go out to, we have a list of all those businesses. Now, they can't go to all 759 of them, but they go to a good number in each ward across the city and just investigate whether these businesses are providing all of the required disclosures to their customers. And we're going to talk about those disclosures in just a minute. Some of those I've printed out and left here on the table, and we'll talk about those during our conversation. So we do check. Now, we don't check every single business, as I said, but we do a survey to make sure that businesses are complying with the law so that consumers are protected. Yes, sir.
How do you select the ones that you're going to audit?
Well, I'm not the investigator. I'm not. That team is not under me. But what they do is they look in each ward. So there we have 50 wards. So they'll do a couple in each ward, and we'll also look. We're complaint based. So if we get any complaints about businesses, we'll go to those first. Or, for example, sometimes an alderman will call up and say, I want you to check out these places in my ward. So we try to distribute our resources evenly around the city. We know, for example, that there are those areas where people are less sophisticated and may be more likely to be taken advantage by unscrupulous businesses. So we'll concentrate our efforts there. Okay? No? You don't like my answer?
So if I move downtown, it's less likely that I would be...
No, we think there are locations where, areas where it's a greater chance that unscrupulous businesses will congregate. Let me put it that way. Are you a service provider?
Yes.
And have you been visited by
Yes,
our
2
investigators?
years in a row.
Okay.
And it caused me because I didn't hand him the paper.
Oh, okay. So there you go. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Income tax providers must provide certain disclosures and information to customers who come in. The Consumer Bill of Rights, and we're going to talk more about that. A written list of the services that the business offers and their prices, and a written list of any other fees. The goal is that before a consumer says, yes, I want this and this, they know exactly what it's going to cost. A couple years ago, I'm going to call on you in just a minute. A couple years ago, my daughter, who I think she was living on the north side of the city at the time, she's a school teacher. She went to some place she didn't talk to me first, right? She went to an income tax preparation company, and they said, oh, well, your income taxes are much more complicated. and charged her, after she had already asked for them, charged like a whole slew of fees and everything else. And I just said, no, you have to go back and challenge that. And she did. She contacted the, it was like, you know, a place that has a lot of different locations. And she contacted the head of it, and they were able to work things out. But, you know, I said to her, did they give you a list ahead of time? Oh, no, they told me at the very end. Well, that's not when you're supposed to tell someone what they're going to owe you. You know, you need to let them know, and oh, by the way, there's a filing fee of $25, or there's a $50 fee for copies, or whatever. You're entitled to charge whatever you want, but you need to let the people know before they say yes, right? Sir?
But I agree with your sentiment, but I don't think this is just unique to our business. Like if I go into a mechanic, honestly, he's not going to tell me. He'll give me an estimate, but he's not going to know the last price.
Okay, so can I
think that-
talk to you about that later? Because you're absolutely right. And you should know that there is a city ordinance, the Motor Vehicle Repair Ordinance, Section 4-228 of the Municipal Code, that requires all of that to be listed and written out. And if you're not getting an estimate before your repair, then you shouldn't be leaving your car there.
That was an example as well. Like I had foot surgery. I was not quoted the price before going in.
Okay,
And
we
I
don't
did.
regulate doctors.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to make examples of businesses in which don't know something.
That's absolutely right. And so what the city has done with the types of businesses that it regulates, because we don't regulate everything. The state regulates doctors, the state regulate different government agencies regulate different kinds of businesses. But the ones we regulate, we try to make rules that level the playing field so that it's fair. And I think it puts burdens on the business, and we understand that, and we try to weigh the burden on the business with the benefit to the customer. And because of what we've seen in terms of people being harmed by not knowing ahead of time, by non-disclosure, that's why these rules and regulations were put into place. Yes, ma'am?
My question is it truly a service, the ones who's actually legitimate, that are causing these issues? Or are they preparers that's just preparing and getting money, and they're not registered with you guys?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. But I believe that the businesses that, certainly the businesses that are here, and certainly the businesses that want to try to do things the right way by getting the license, I think those are the ones that I'm less concerned about. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned accountants and attorneys. I have two questions. Do their employees have do they have to be registered repairs?
No.
Do they have the offices have to have your license?
No, they don't, because those attorneys are licensed by the state, and accountants, I believe, are also licensed by the state. And accountants have some sort of federal IRS, I don't know if it's a certification. Is it a certification? Designation? Okay. Thanks.
Well, that's what I had a question on, because the CPAs are, they're licensed. I know in the law, it says CPAs, and that's licensed by the state to represent clients. But I'm an actual EA, and we can represent clients before the IRS across all 50 states. But within the ordinance, it doesn't have EA, so it's it kind of forces us, it bumps us down to tax preparers when we're actually like federally recognized by the Internal Revenue Service.
You know, I thought we had addressed that at some time in the past, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, I didn't bring a pen with me. If you'll stop stop and see me afterwards, so that's something that we could look at. I'm glad you brought that up, because we had, when we were drafting this ordinance, we talked about that, and I can't remember where we left it. Okay? Consumers should see displayed in a tax preparer, a tax service provider's place of business, the Consumer Bill of Rights, a written list of services offered and their prices, and a written list of any additional fees. And they should receive this Bill of Rights. They should receive a disclosure form, which can become the written estimate and the written contract. So these are available up here. City, last year, developed a model disclosure form. So if you're a tax provider, income tax provider, and you do not use the city's model disclosure form, then you need to submit the one you're going to be using to our mailbox so that we can review it and let you know it's okay. So this is also available online, so you can use it. And this is just an example. What we put here is an example of what you might have. There are certainly places for additional kinds of services that you might provide. Ma'am?
Thank you. Do we get to change online and add our prices?
Yes, you can change it. This is just a blank, and you would add whatever other services you provide and however much it would be.
Okay.
And it would this would just be the outline of the form.
Okay, so if we are going to use this form, we don't have to submit it
Correct.
in order to get approved?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Okay? Yes.
And one copy is for the client and one for us?
I think I would do that. I think, you would have this and you would fill it out and show it to the person and, oh, I want my child home health care credit or something, and you would write that in and how much, whatever it is that, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know about enough about your business and the services that you provide, but if, you're going to do a child care or something or other, or a student loan something or other, and then you could put it all out there, and then I'd give it to them and make a copy of it for your file to show that you gave it to them and they signed it.
Just the number of forms in the IRS, there are over 800 forms in the IRC. Do we have to list each one?
No.
Within the charge?
How would you do that?
Exactly. That form is
Exactly.
very- Like, there are going to be tax scenarios presented this year that don't fit on that form.
Right. So you don't,
I just,
right, so you're gonna have standard things, and then, excuse me?
All those, it just has all those in it, and then you just,
Right, you're not gonna know what all of them are beforehand,
a 3-hour process or a 9-hour process.
but you're gonna know that before you're gonna hear what they want, you're gonna fill out what it is what they request.
Oh, so you're saying for each client that comes in, you have to physically fill out one of those sheets? with
Right.
the-
Right,
Have a copy- and
because
have a copy in
that's
my
the,
file.
unless they decide after you fill it out, you're gonna sit down, they're gonna say, I think this is what I want, A, B, C, and D. You have people coming in all the time that do that, right?
And they don't want that.
They don't
They don't
want
care
about
that.
that.
Then why, they want their
They
refund. If
not
you
even-
pay
they
us
just
a
want quality
visit,
work done.
what
They
do
just-
you require us to have? If you come and audit our office, that's what we want to know.
Okay.
What do you want us to?
So we require you to give them the Bill of Rights, right? You're gonna have a written list, you're gonna have posted,
When you say posted,
right?
So we have to have it posted and provide them with.
A
details.
tax preparer shall post the following information in a conspicuous location in the place of business, in English and Spanish. The Consumer Bill of Rights, and it's in both languages on the city's website. a written description and price of the services that you offer, and, you know, you can just have some standard, you can have your standard things posted, and other forms on request, you know?
Okay, so you're saying post it,
Yes,
that they don't have to receive a copy before they leave your office?
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
yes.
You need to post it and also make it very
But I have a
specific.
question.
In this form. So, and if you have additional fees, you need to put what those are. I don't know what additional fees you might have. Copying fees, you know, 10 cents per page. Extra copy, you know, whatever. Filing fee, $50, $20. Those standard fees that you charge in addition to the cost for a simple return. I mean, I'm gonna guess, I don't, my father was an accountant, but it was a long time ago. I'm gonna guess that 70% of your business is the same stuff over and over and over, yes?
Yes.
So that brings us to the question, is this for repeat customers or for new customers?
Everybody. Everybody.
So,
Then
Let me
come-
do this, let me talk to this lady and then we'll go across the room.
thank you.
I'm sorry to point, I don't know
If
what
we
else to
have
do.
a bank product, the bank product requires all that information. When the taxes are done, that information is listed, their cost, the bank fee, the filing fee, the electronic filing fee, all of that is included on the bank product information sheet that we also give our client. Is it necessary to have both, or can I just attach that to the fees that are listed from the bank products? Because that's a duplication of paper.
So, I'm not sure what a bank,
It's gonna, yeah.
product is.
A bank product is normally, the vehicle that we use to get our fees. And our fees have to be spelled out on the bank product information sheet.
At the end. But that's even at the
After
end.
the taxes are prepared, the client signs off on it, we sign off on it, it gets e-filed. So all of those fees are listed on the bank product information fees. This is a bank.
so do you know what
requirement.
they're gonna be ahead
And
of
so
time?
That's when I find out.
Okay.
I don't find out until after, after I've done the tax return.
So-
Because of all the different forms that are incorporated in doing the return.
Okay, so then, additional charges, I mean, bank fee to be determined. I mean, because if you don't know that, what that is, but you would wanna list
No,
what.
it's not the bank fee per se, it's the preparation fee. It's the entire fee for doing the entire tax return. Everything is listed. I did a EIC form, I did a education form, I did a Schedule A, I did a Schedule C,
Okay,
I did
the
a
whole-
Schedule D.
okay.
That's gonna all be listed on the bank product information form.
Okay, so-
After the tax return is completed. So I won't even know most of that and the time that it took and the cost that it took until after a tax return is completed. So
The,
we're giving them guesstimates. So the client will not have an actual fee until the entire return is completed.
so,
So that's what makes this challenging, because we're really
Right.
not giving them accurate information until the tax return is completed. Unless I have, that's how it's done.
okay, so it's very interesting hearing this because I don't know if anybody who wrote this ordinance knew this ahead of time, which makes it a problem. Wait, let me address this. So the whole idea of this, just so you know what the thought process going into this was, that a person that would be coming in to get their taxes done would know what they were going to be charged before they signed their name on the dotted line.
And they will
So-
also know their refund, and they'll know everything.
Okay.
And they'll watch you having done their tax return, and they can tell
Yeah.
you, well, that's okay, and then they can go home and do it themselves. That's another issue that brings up.
Only in this,
and then you can always put at the bottom, extra thing.
Yeah, see, what they're trying to do is protect the consumer, so all they want, what my question is, that bank product tells you at the end in detail how much it is, but you're telling them you're gonna charge them at the end $600. So I get what the state is doing, and they just want you to let them know ahead of time. The issue I'm having with this form is the details. Would it be suffice, like her, put bank product estimated cost without
Yes.
EIC, blah, blah, $300, $600.
Yes.
Is it enough just to put that, get their signature, and move forward?
Yes, as long as, because they're telling you, at least in the beginning, that I want a simple return. I want earned income credit. I mean, they're telling you an outline of what they want, which may change when you're into it.
Yeah, but
And then you're going to let them know.
So I can just put individual based on conversation, 1040, estimated at 300.
Right.
Get them, I don't have to, EIC form $5, birth $10, daycare 10, that, we don't need to go in detail, I could just do a general, $600 is what it's gonna cost you, sign here, and then we move forward, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Because you're not going to know, it isn't until you're spent, I mean, that's your 10-minute talk. That's your 10-minute intro, right? Before you, and then as you're sitting there and they're saying, oh, yes, 600, thereabouts, I'll go forward with this. And then once you're into it for an hour or so, you're realizing that it's really going to be much more complicated. So you're going to have to say, based on what you're telling me now, the contract that we're going to draw up is much more complicated than you told me in the first 5 minutes. And there are these additional costs. And then have them sign that final contract.
That's where we were having an issue, because we have 800 forms, and sometimes we add a form in and we don't specifically charge $10 for that. If we were to put an amount for every form that we deal with, the taxpayer might be paying $1,000 when we only charge $100, but because we had to put prices on every form that we file, it wasn't adding up. And every person is a different fee. They all have
Yes.
different situations,
Yes.
and we're told we have to charge the same to everybody, not in our profession.
You can't.
We can't.
You can't. It's a different amount of work. But again, remember what the goal is. The goal is that a customer can come in and say, I just want a simple I don't want any deductions. I just don't know how to do this. But you know,
Excuse me, but because
no,
they
I
don't know
want you
how
to
do it,
finish, let me finish my sentence,
Okay, I'm sorry.
okay? So, I want a simple form, but I do say, I'm a single mom and I send my child to daycare, so I want to deduct that. And so say, here's what that would be for those 2 or 3, whatever it is, items. And you write it out, that's your estimate, and you give it to them. And then you sit down with them and start taking in their documents, and you want to have them sign the contract, and you see it's really much more complicated because, I don't know, they
instead of a W-2, they have a 1099.
or what, right, or
Okay.
whatever. So you're going to say, you know, you didn't explain this to me in the beginning, and now that I'm looking at your documents, it's much more complicated, and so the contract that you and I now sign has to be more detailed with additional costs. Sir?
I've got a question. At one point, do we actually have to give them the bill of rights and the written description of services? Because you. as
In
a
the beginning.
taxpayer, or before they even ask any, because I get, this is always the situation. I have a question. It's never just, you know.
No, I
we
give
get our
it to them
tax
right
account.
away, as soon as they walk in the door.
Yeah, exactly. I have a
Right
question, and so should we say, well, before I answer your question,
Good. That's
here's the
it.
bill of rights?
Yes,
Right.
That's what we do.
Okay.
That's what I would do, because this gentleman is here to tell you he didn't do that, and someone gave him a ticket for that. So when they're coming into your office and they're saying, I have some questions about my taxes, and I think I may need some help, and I'd like to talk to you. Well, before I talk to you, let me tell you, sir, that this is the Consumer Bill of Rights, and here are our general prices that we charge. And
Not at that moment, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right before we called with them, right?
Yeah, at a courthouse.
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Mine notice is sitting, you can't even get it.
Okay, so disclosure forms must contain a written list, description, and price of the services, a written list of additional fees like filing fees or processing fees, a statement that the tax preparer shall provide the consumer with a written estimate of the total charge prior to entering into the contract. So I think this answers our earlier questions. You're going to give them a general idea at first, but as you're sitting down and talking to them and you're hearing what they want you to do, and it's much more complicated than that original list, you're going to write out the estimate with the total charges before they sign it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, like, you have to let the customer know that this is an estimate price, general for every customer, and it depends on his situation. And
Which may be much more complicated.
yes, and the thing is that I noticed that my clients are even more comfortable knowing this. Like, I think it has been different experience for other people that says their customers are not liking this. My clients are feeling more comfortable knowing that this is an estimate price, and I'm not gonna say at the end of the interview that it's $200 more. So it's
But
just
it might
letting
be
them
more.
know.
It might be more.
Yeah, but you have to let them know at the beginning that this is an estimate for what we have thought and talked in the 5 minutes.
Right.
You know?
You don't find that like aesthetically interfering though?
I'm
Like
sorry?
before
Yeah.
someone can even, before I can even shake someone's hand or tell them my name, I have to hand them.
We have to let them know that.
No,
that
you
we
can
are
shake
established-
their hand and say, I'm Tom.
No, we can't.
I was along the line with this gentleman. Someone walked in and asked me a question, I answered the question.
Well, don't answer the question. Just say, hi, I'm Bill, and before I can have any conversation with you, the city requires that I give you some documents. Now, what's your question?
You just don't think that's aesthetically like interfering with business?
I'm not saying it doesn't. I said, if you recall, my exact words were, I do believe this places burdens on businesses. I said that. But what we do is we weigh the burden on the business with the benefit to the customer. I mean, I have to tell you about this. I have to tell you the numbers, the high numbers of sad stories we hear about unsophisticated customers who have been, just taken advantage. I'm not suggesting anyone here would ever do that. You're here. You're
We're
licensed.
in compliance, that's why we came here.
Right, and so, but
Yeah.
we hear a lot of stories, and sometimes I think we have to really protect people who don't have the ability to protect themselves.
A supervisor should be here, like the people who go to the offices should be here listening to this, because they need to be trained that if at the end we give them the disclosure, then we did our part, you know? So if we did, like, they should be here listening.
Okay, two more, and then let's move on.
What's your question? I was told that once they come in, you give them the Bill of Rights.
Right.
And then you give them that with an estimate of all your prices.
Right, of some of them. You can't, there's no way you're gonna be able to give them a price of
But
everything.
My question wasn't that, okay? Before you even talk to them, you should give them a list of your prices, okay? You're telling me that I have to talk to them first and ask them what
No,
he has?
no, you don't have to.
No?
No, actually, what a lot of the businesses do that send us their forms instead of our model form is they're there with, 10 things on them, and then some blanks in case they need to fill something in. And they just have a pile of them
Okay.
in their office. Okay, ma'am?
before I noticed that, and this form doesn't have it, so that's why I'm asking. It used to say estimate. This form doesn't state that, and then they would sign it.
Okay, so this is ours. So this is the model form that we developed that, because people were asking us for a model form. So we filled this out so that they could take this and use it, and, you know, if you want to put across the body of it, estimate, that's fine. If you want to use this form, you don't have to send yours in to us. If you want to change it or you want your own, there's a mailbox that you need to send it to, and we'll get back to you within a week, usually within a couple days.
Do we have to inform you if we are using this one or no?
No, we don't, if you're using this, that's fine. And you can just say, if our investigator comes to your office, we're using the BACP model form. Okay? And we did this last year, we just thought it would make it easier. If it's not making it easier, let me know.
If they don't want to sign it,
I don't care if they sign, you don't care if they sign, you know, if they don't want to sign it, they don't want to sign it. I mean, what, are you going to force someone to sign something? Right?
We turned them away, we sent them away. If they didn't sign, we were told we needed a signature in order to speak with them, so we turned them
Okay.
away.
Okay,
turn them
there you
away.
go.
Oh, no.
I'm not paying a $500 fine with the city.
Yeah.
What about the people that can't read? We got lots of those. They can't read, I don't know how to read.
I don't know, you can read it for them and make their X?
Yeah, that's about all we can do.
Right.
We've had it for years.
Yeah. Okay, let me move ahead. Okay. And then, that's the income tax prep form. And I already went through this, but you do have to post certain information in your place of business, the Bill of Rights, the description of the services you offer, and a description of any additional fees. And the reason this last one was added was because there were a lot of businesses, maybe I shouldn't say a lot, we found businesses that charged fees for certain kinds of maybe filing, or maybe it was just filing for the rapid refund or whatever, that were then charging, keeping $200 or $300 from that refund just as an, what's that?
They don't do rapid refunds anymore.
Okay, so,
That's gone
whatever,
2
but,
years ago.
all right. So, there were those who were skimming off a lot of money off the people's refund checks. So that was very problematic.
Were they registered? Were they registered? They licensed? Registered?
Probably not. So prior to entering into the contract or charging the fee for your services, the preparers need to provide a written estimate of the total charges, including fees or costs, and then review those estimated charges with the customer. You can't charge a customer a fee prior to reviewing that total charge with the customer. A tax preparer must provide a written contract. No consumer is liable for charges or costs without a written contract. No tax preparer shall require that a consumer use a refund settlement product as a condition of offering services. So here's information about our department. What does BACP offer? We promote consumer awareness through education and information to help consumers protect themselves. We protect consumers from fraud. We respond to complaints. We hope to resolve those complaints, but we do take action against businesses that perpetrate fraud on customers. And we enforce the municipal code for checking for violations across the city of its laws and rules. We hope we protect consumers from deception and fraud. We inspect retail businesses for outdated and recalled merchandise. We have a Know Before series, and all those flyers are out in the reception area. It's our consumer protection campaign that's made up of flyers about different kinds of activities, including what you do before you hail one of the new kinds of car services, Uber or Lyft. Our Small Business Center is the city's one-stop shop for business licensing, public way use permitting, and connecting business owners to resources. I know that Elise talked about our Small Business Solution Station. So we do have business counseling services here for free on Tuesdays, legal assistance on Wednesdays, on Thursday, financial assistance by 2 agencies, and on Fridays, the last Friday of the month, the IRS comes in to provide tax support. You can check whether a business is licensed with our department, and you can also verify businesses through the Better Business Bureau. Our data portal, and I know there's information about how to use our data portal, can give you information about any specific type of business. If you're looking to look up all the tax preparation providers in Chicago, you can find out that information on our data portal. Of course, it would only show the licensed businesses. Our Small Business Center is a way you can connect with more information. And that was it.